Hey, welcome to this video. My name is Chad and we are going to talk about our December 2024 PRS match. So we just had this yesterday, Sunday, I believe the 22nd, and it was the fourth round of our 24-25 season for the local group. This would be back at the range where we shot the first match. So if you're new to this, we've got 3 ranges here locally, and usually about the 3rd or 4th Sunday each month we will have a match, and it will rotate. So it'll go like range 1 next month, 2 next month, 3 4th month back to 1, and so on. And we take off like the August and July, or kind of the hottest of the summer, we'll take off. But bad part of that is we have to go through the winter. So thankfully yesterday was not too bad. It was really cold and chilly in the morning, but by the time the sun came out, it warmed up fairly decently, and I was able to make it through without my hands falling apart too badly. That's always a concern, but now that I'm losing the light today, I got my new little MDT Black Friday little pullover on, and it's actually kind of handy, so I might be wearing this more throughout the rest of the winter. So let's go over some of the broad strokes here. I actually managed to get all of my ammo loaded up before this time, so I wasn't super stressed Saturday night. And I came out the Monday before, got my 0 reset after taking my chassis out from the, or my action out from the chassis, and putting it back together, drying it off after last month's match where it rained the whole day. So going into it, I was pretty confident. My ammo was in good shape. I thought my 0 was holding pretty good, so confidence in my rifle and ammo's ability to do what I wanted to do was pretty high. Still, knowing me, I did not get to sleep until a little bit after midnight and woke up about 3:40. So I'm running on very little sleep as usual, but honestly, that's kind of normal for me, so it wasn't a huge concern. I did have some issues getting one of my contacts in and wasted about half an hour. So instead of getting there 30 minutes before start time, I got there like literally right at 9 o'clock when we were supposed to start. So I was rushing, just throwing my junk out of my truck and getting over to the first position. Overall for the match, I took 46 shots and got 35 hits. So I ended up finishing in 3rd place. And my hit rate for shots taken, around 76-78%. I think on one of the stages I did the math wrong here, and a first round impact was worth 2 points, and I did get that one time, but I didn't factor that in. When I was doing this, I was just going off of points to shots taken, but that gives me like 76%. So I mean, I'm getting there. I just still got some more things to work on. In this match, we did not have paper, so I'm kind of going off of memory and my notes that I made. The first 2 stages were set up more like a NRL Hunter type match instead of a PRS match. So it's good to learn this stuff, but it is the type of shooting that I do not practice at all. And honestly, I have kind of, we'll say, a problem distinguishing targets from the background, especially at this location. So this is the same place where, you know, at the first match, I could not find the hunter target and I had to get pointed onto it. Ended up only getting 1 shot off at it at the first match. And very similar thing happened here. So first stage, it was off the corner post. So there's just a metal post with an angle coming off of it and some little spikes welded onto it, pretty much to make a 5-position shooting location. And you have to, you kind of know where the target is, but you have to get on your binoculars and range it, and then use that number to get your dope figured out. So my plan on that, since we had time, was to just get on the target, range it with my binos, get the number, and quick type it into my Kestrel, and then just adjust real quick and get a couple shots off. So I did that. Out of the 10 possible shots in 5 positions, I think I only made it to the 3rd position, and I was a little bit off on my first shots a couple times, but I ended up scoring 5 points. I think one of those came from a 2-point first round impact. Typically I was getting hits on the second round though before I moved positions. So That one was easier to find because the background was a white painted palette. So I knew what to look for out in the field and be able to distinguish the target. Now we go over to the second stage, which was the full-on NRL Hunter. Speaking of Hunter, sounds like we got some down there. But at this stage, there was just, the sighting layout. So, kind of the left side and right side. There was supposed to be a hunter target, so a yellow or orange painted body with a white head. And we were told one of the targets was near him, above him, and one of them was kind of below him, in between the left and right markers. So that one had 4 minutes. After 3 minutes, I still could not find the targets. I think it took me 2 minutes just to find the hunter guy. And this is where the targets were not painted. And with the background of that caliche rock and just the color of the targets blended into the color of all the rocks and surrounding terrain very, very well, I just could not see those targets. Finally, I found the pig target. And there's supposed to be a pig and a bobcat. At about 30 seconds, I finally gave up on the bobcat and tried to go up, get into position, and right as I got my mag in, the time went off. So I didn't even close my bolt. Like, I got no shots off. So obviously that was a 0 score. We're gonna move past that. So those were the trickier stages. From there, we move up to the hill and we get into the prone positions. And these, I did much better on this time. We did Troop 1 and Troop 2, which are very similar to what we have done before. Okay, so for Troop 1 and Troop 2, I've actually got footage of all of these, and I'll be rolling that in. I'm hoping my trigger cam captured everything. I cleared off the whole disc, so hopefully you're seeing all of that this time. But it was the usual 500, 600, 700, 820, and 1120. What I had trouble with on this one was finding the second target and the first target. I knew where third, fourth, and fifth were, but the first two, they just hid for me very well. I honestly had more problems finding contrast and seeing the targets at this match than really any before. None of the targets were painted, so it was very difficult to pick them out of the background. So steel colored targets with, brown, grayish colored hibernating trees and rocks that are similar colored just made it very difficult. Once I found the targets, I was on pretty good. Actually took 8 shots and got 8 hits on the Troop 1. So when I was, taking shots, I was getting hits. And I just ran out of time. I didn't make it to the last target because I spent too much time between target 1 and 2 just finding them and getting on them. But this new bag, now that I've got a better idea how to work it, I was able to use it in a couple different positions. Like started out lifted up high so that I could get down low for the closer targets. And then I was moving out and up the hill. I was able to move position and get this flattened out so I could keep getting the back end lower and lower and raise up to be able to get to the targets that I needed to that were further away. Looks like my camera is going to be having trouble now that I'm losing the remainder of the light. So then Troop 2, very similar. This one, the third target is always really tricky, and the first one hides behind a tree. But I got on number 1 at 450, boom, boom, got my 2 hits. Moved on to 550, 2 hits, moved on to 702, missed the first one. And I thought it was going to be another situation where I was stuck here for a while, like at one of the previous matches here. For some reason, that third target always gets everybody. I think the location, it has a little bit different wind swirling around it, so it behaves slightly differently there. Anyways, I missed my first one and just went to like hold bottom left of it and ended up getting a hit. So for this stage, to move on to the next target, you had to get a hit. So if you got a hit on your first shot, you go ahead and take your second shot, then move on to the next. If you miss your first, engage it again. If you get a hit on the second, then go ahead and move to the next target. Now, if you miss number 1, you miss number 2, you got to keep firing until you get it, whether that's on your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6 shot or just totally miss the target. So you have to hit the target to move on and take 2 shots minimum at each target. So on that one, I got all the way through that, just had a few hits, but I scored 7 out of 10 on that one. Then we had a new stage for this match, and we used the same targets that we use typically off the concrete culvert, and this time we were set up on a tripod. And I decided to use my tripod with my bag set on it, and we shot at the car that has about 400 yards, and you go for 2 shots on each of the targets in the driver and passenger seat, and then the ones right outside the car at the rear driver and passenger side, 2 shots on each. And then there's another target further up the hill at about 565, kind of a IPSC leaning over sideways. Anyways, out of those 10 shots, I got 7 hits, so I was pretty happy. And what made me most happy about this one is we had a pretty significant crosswind, and I was doing pretty good at this match getting my wind calls. So I think that's one of the things I'm going to be most proud of in this match is when I was taking shots, I was getting hits, and I'm getting much more confident at what data I'm getting with my Kestrel and being able to apply it to properly get impacts. And then the last stage was pyramid. So we had 1 target out at about 380 yards. And this is another one, we were shooting in a different direction, but we had a pretty significant crosswind coming. On this one, you had to take 2 shots from each position and move to 5 total positions off of this railroad tie structure that was built up. So call time, I run up, get laid down in a very low position where I knew I'd be able to get a pretty good setup, and got down and boom, boom, got 2 shots, 2 hits, move up to the next position, and I was continuing to go through and get pretty good hits. I know there was one of them that I got plopped down, and as soon as I got laid down, I got on and my crosshairs coming right down to the target, and my finger was a little colder than I thought it was. I didn't think I had any pressure on the trigger, but I was being ready for it, and I put a little pressure on it just a little too early and got my first miss, followed it up with a hit, and then moved on. Ended up getting 8 hits out of the maximum 10 on that stage. Hey, if you have fun getting out and shooting matches, go ahead and get subscribed, because I try to make it to 1 every single month, and I definitely want to have you hanging out with me, learning about it as I do. If you got any tips about anything, please do drop that down in the comments below. I really appreciate all the things that I learned from everybody out here. You guys make all this much more enjoyable. So thank you very much for hanging out with me. So magazines, I did go ahead and I loaded up, I believe, 5 mags with 10 each. So I would have 5 full stages ready to go just in case it was cold or I was running slow. So that was a very good idea. I think I used 4 out of the 5 mags that I had ready to go, and was able to just not have to worry about doing anything with my magazines in between the first couple stages. So once it warmed up, I went ahead and just found one that I liked and kept reloading it. But getting through the first 4 stages without having to fiddle with anything loading ammo in cold weather is really good. My fingers do take quite a beating this time of year, and that was a great idea. Very happy I picked these up on Black Friday. That saved me quite a bit. But other than that, I think I had a pretty good match. The PRS side of it went really well. First place, he was having a great day. His name's Farron, and he did excellent. I think this was the first match that he won, and I know he's been doing some of the 22 matches as well, and just putting in more time in matches and getting a lot more practice. So he's kind of zipped past me. I've got to put in a lot more work and see if I can catch back up to him. He totally won this one. It was his day. He was on point. He had a couple clean stages, and he was just doing really, really good. Second place, he had 45 hits, so 10 more points than I did, and it was his place. So a couple of stages, he kind of had a better idea of where things were at compared to the rest of us, and he definitely didn't get any zeros like I did on that NRL Hunter stage. Once again, the Hunter thing is something that I really don't practice. The only time I do any kind of practice with it is at these matches where they work in 1 or 2 stages that are that style. So I think if I took the time and actually learned it, I definitely would do better at it. It's just a different kind of target acquisition, and I just don't practice it enough to be good enough to do it on the clock, especially when I'm flustered and, you know, you get upset about one thing and you kind of dwell on it and it just throws off the whole rest of your day. So after those first 2 stages went very poorly for me, I tried to, you know, put it out of my mind. It's like, okay, I can't go back and change it. I couldn't even see the target, so I don't know why I'm getting upset about something that if I can't see it, obviously I can't hit it. So I can't change the fact that I cannot distinguish very well at 500, 600, 700 yards away what one piece of steel is from a rock a couple feet behind it. You know, I just could not make out that definition. Hopefully, if some of that showed up in the trigger cam, you might be able to see what I was talking about, but pretty much it was just very difficult to see. On the PRS stages, where it's more of what I practiced, I got my hit rate up quite a bit, and I was hitting, you know, my worst score on the stages I did good on was 7 out of 10. So, I mean, I'm pretty pleased with that overall. All in all, for December, it ended up being fairly warm, at least warmer than I was expecting it to be. So I did not freeze my hands off. I got a little bit of a sunburn and windburn, but that's okay. It definitely could have been worse. We had fairly good weather, especially considering what month it is, and no snow, no rain. I was very happy with it overall. And then I got to come home and have Christmas with my family. So all my brothers and sister came down and we had a nice little family get together for Christmas. So speaking of, I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas last night with all of y'all's family, if it was the time of year that you celebrate. I know some people will not do Christmas on Christmas Day. They'll do it the weekend earlier, weekend later. So whenever you get around to having your family Christmas, I hope it is wonderful, or it was wonderful. I think that just about does it. My ammo did well, my rifle did well. My eyes did not do so well, but I can't do a whole lot to control that. So I think for the things that I have somewhat control over, I was pretty pleased with how everything turned out. Please do let me know down in the comments, what do you think? Am I getting better than I was a year ago when I was starting this stuff? Or what else do you see that I still need to work on besides being able to find targets that are hiding from me? Once again, I hope you had a great Christmas. I do hope you have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.